We will convene the 7 o'clock budget hearing at this time. We'll call any person in the audience that has any concerns about our upcoming budget, like to comment on it, make suggestions. Anybody in the audience have concerns, comments on the budget that we are proposing? Give it 2 or 3 more minutes. Anybody have any comments on the budget? Seeing none, we'll go ahead into the opening of our regular meeting, and I'll ask Mr. Copeland if he would say the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody, please stand.
Everybody stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you.
Mr. Waller, can we have certification of the closed meeting?
Resolution of certification of the closed meeting of March 10th, 2016, pursuant to Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Board Member Bouchard?
Yes.
Board Member Brooks-Buck?
Yes.
Board Member Byram?
Yes.
Board Member Midnick?
Yes.
Board Member Skeeter?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Copeland?
Aye.
Chairman Dobransky?
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have public speakers on the agenda topics. The first one is Hunter Turley. Hunter, are you here?
Hello, my name is Nikki Besser, and I represent the Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth's award-winning Y Street program, and Hunter is here. He unfortunately had a death in the family this week, so he's going to hang back a little bit, and I'd like to publicly offer my condolences to him and his family. We would like to publicly thank all of you for the work you've done on updating your tobacco policy. I know that'll be coming to a vote tonight, and we sincerely hope that you vote yes. If so, Suffolk will be the 21st school division in Virginia to have a 100% comprehensive tobacco-free division policy out of over 125 school divisions. We truly hope that other school divisions will be inspired by your work, especially with how quickly that you were able to update your policy, and that they'll also be inspired by the message of the 24/7 campaign and the passionate work of Y Street youth who are passionate about this issue and really willing to come and talk to their school boards and ask them to really value this important issue. We would also like to remind you that we have our free 24/7 signage and resources that we are offering to you absolutely free of charge for all of your schools, and those can really help to communicate and enforce your policy once you vote yes on this really important issue. Thank you so much for your commitment to the health and well-being of their students, staff, and visitors, and we truly commend the work that you're doing here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, and send our best wishes to Hunter on his behalf of his family.
We absolutely will. Thank you.
Okay, we have another speaker scheduled, but he is not going to be here until the later part of the meeting, so we'll go ahead on with the reports by the superintendent.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As you can see on the agenda, the first item that we're going to be speaking about today is our new middle school summer program launch, Leading, Achieving, Unleashing, Navigating, and Creating through a Healthy Lifestyle. I'm going to call to the podium Dr. Stanette Bird, our Director of Secondary Leadership. Dr. Bird.
Thank you, Dr. Whitney, and good evening, members of the board. It is my pleasure today to present to you the new summer school program for middle school. As you may be aware, last year we implemented a program called LEAP at the elementary level, and it was met with such great success that we wanted to extend it to the middle school program. The middle school program is a little different, and I will share those differences as we go through the slide. First, it's a half-day program that will last 17 days. It will be over a 4-week period. The location will be at John F. Kennedy Middle School. It will be from June 29th to July 28th. And one of the differences in the middle school program is we are still serving students who did not meet the requirements for promotion. So that is the population of students that we will cover. And we have created a 4-week highly engaged environment centered around weekly themes. All right, typically we serve about 500 students, and that will be the case this year. We are looking at a 9-to-1 student-adult ratio. This is another difference that you will see. In a later slide, it will kind of break down the cost comparison between last year and this year, and this is one of the reasons of the difference in cost. The program is going to be designed every day into 2 block sections. The first block is a 3-hour period in which most of the academics will take place. So during this time, our students who come attend summer school, they still need to be, when they leave, they still need to be better writers and historians and scientists and mathematicians. So we want to make sure that we are still improving their skills. The second block, however, is geared more towards the enrichment, the connecting what they're learning to the real world, and also the inclusion of hands-on activities. Our program will include transportation, breakfast, and snack. Throughout the 4 weeks, each week is based on a specific theme. The first one, learning on the move. Through this week, students are going to be encouraged to get up and move around, and we hope for this method of learning to continue throughout the entire summer program. Week 2 is centered around engineering. That will be the theme of the week. Week 3, biomedical, and week 4, digital storytelling. Also through this process, we are also highlighting our high school specialty programs. That first week, learning on the move, is centered around, we have the Summer Olympics going on this year, and the Olympics is all about international awareness, which is also the emphasis of our IB program as well. And so through our planning process, we have our instructors from all 3 of those programs as a part of the planning process. All right, so for academics, we have a summer curriculum writing team, and that team, we had our second full meeting today, and we are in the process of developing the curriculum for our summer school teachers. So hopefully, the plan is when a teacher agrees to participate in summer school, that they're given lesson plans for each day. Through each lesson plan, there's already embedded activities, and we will have the materials and supplies already ready for them. The thematic units, of course, is covered in the hands-on activities. And lastly, that connection to real-world applications. We're going to make that connection for our teachers. With this enrichment, other than just providing basic instruction, we're going to have that emphasis there on health, wellness, physical fitness, and nutrition. That international awareness that I spoke of earlier, exposure to engineer and biomedical sciences, and the use of technology to enhance instruction. And I think I didn't really cover this earlier on that last week, which is digital storytelling. That will be students' opportunity to present the things they've learned through the week in a digital format, be it a video or a song that they could make, or any other creative ways that students may come up with. So our expected outcomes is that we will have improved academic performance. We're going to reduce that summer learning loss that takes place when you're not practicing your craft for a period of time, 2 months in our case for summer. We hope that students will be inspired to maintain good attendance and positive behavior. The other thing, we're going to build our community partnerships, and I'll talk about that on the next slide. Enhance teacher creativity. So through this process, we hope that the idea of teaching through movement and the hands-on, as well as the connection to real world, that spills over into our regular instruction during the school year. And lastly, the improved health and wellness awareness. So opportunities for community support. There are a couple ways that members of the community can join our middle school launch program. One is volunteers. At the end of each week on that Thursday, we're going to transform the school into the theme for the next week. So as we transition from learning on the move to engineering, we want to have the bulletin boards and everything reflect that new theme for the week. High school students can have the opportunity to earn some of their community service hours by working with our program. That second block of the day, that second hour from 11:30 to 12:30, that enrichment block, that would be an opportunity for if there is a organization or a business that is willing to work with our students. That's a time where they can come in and help our teachers connect to real world. And we do have some organizations already lined up that are excited to work with our students. We want to continue our partnerships with before and after school care, our YMCA Boys and Girls Club, and third one just slipped my mind. Parks and Rec, that's right. And what they did with our LEAP program is they offered parents discounted rates if they needed childcare before or after this case of this program. And lastly, opportunity for community support would be financially. So here are our partnerships: United Way of Southampton Roads, United for Children. They have heard our proposal, and they are out being a champion on our behalf. So they are helping us to make these connections with builders and building partnerships. As an example, I'll share one with you. Is we got an email the other day that pedometers will be provided for all of our students in the middle school as well as the elementary LEAP program. So that fits well. They knew we had a theme of learning on the move, and they're out finding people to support our efforts. And this last bullet was just added here. I'm not sure if it's in your board packet there, but Virginia Aquarium has agreed to come in and work with groups of students and doing some things, tracking sea turtles, exploring underwater wrecks, and different things like that. So we're excited about what's to take place this summer. And here's the comparison, the breakdown from the previous year to this year. The highlights being really in the academic curriculum, not necessarily just that second block, that 1 hour, but through the entire course, each day, the embedded activities, that connection to real world learning. All right, and this concludes this presentation.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Will the parents of those students that are not passing be notified that this is a proper venue for them to send their kids?
Yes, sir. At the time when report cards go home, that's when we notify parents of that their students will need to attend the summer school program.
Okay, this is going to be the summer school program for them, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Byrd, about how many students are we planning to serve in this program?
About 500 students.
We do 500.
500.
Yes.
You know, this is great, because if you remember, just recently we were asked, when do we start teaching our students about the engineering program and the biomedical program we have? So now we'll have them at middle school hearing what it's all about, and then they can make a choice when they get to high school which program they like to go to. This is going to be great. It's going to be a program.
That's great.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I was going to ask the same question, how many students that you were expecting for that program?
Yes, ma'am. 500.
Thank you, Dr. Burtis.
And that 500 is based on our trends. So typically that's what we cover during the middle school program.
The only other thing that I'll add is that on March 17th, you may recall you have been invited to come to the Suffolk Culture Arts Center, where we'll be talking about the progress of the LEAP program as far as presenting that data to community members as well. Dr. Byrd has put together a presentation that I'll be sharing during that time too. Pretty much what you've seen before, to say this is working and we want to expand it. I think the huge advantage to this is that it really is so much more engaging than what we've done in the past, particularly for our middle school students. So while it is designed for those students that did not meet the promotion policy, I anticipate there will be some asking that perhaps did well throughout the year, not up for retention, but want to attend this program. So that's the thought, and we'll plan accordingly. Thank you,
All right,
Dr. Burt.
Dr. Whitney, you said March 17th. Evident I didn't read something. What time and where?
March 17th is a breakfast at the Suffolk Cultural Arts Center, United for Children, as well as myself will be presenting the outcomes from the LEAP program.
Okay.
Now, for the middle school program, may I ask if we have the same support that we had from the community and businesses, or are we still working on it?
Still working on it. We're in the
still working on it.
process.
Okay.
People have been rather receptive as far as the support is concerned, but we still have folks out there trying to encourage support.
Calendar, special events.
All right, if you'll take a look at the page 20, you'll see that we have a long list of special events. I won't even try to read them, but this is the time where we do a lot of culminating type activities, whether it's the citywide orchestra, citywide band, and so forth. We also have spring break there, March 28th through April 1st. But you can see that we have a lot of recognition type programs, Rookie Teacher of the Year as well. So if you'll take note of that, and again, we'll send a reminder to board members, and some of them are public activities that we'll be advertising as well. And that concludes the superintendent's report.
Okay, I'd like to ask all members of the account board to look at the consent agenda at this time. And this is an action item, so if you would, look at it, and anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. All right, we'll go ahead and put a motion.
I move that we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Board Member Bouchard? Yes. Board Member Brooks-Buck?
Yes.
Board Member Byram?
Yes.
Board Member Mitnick?
Yes.
Board Member Skeeter?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Copeland?
Aye.
Chairman Dobransky?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, unfinished business, superintendent's proposed financial plan for this coming year.
Yes, as Wendy Forsman, our executive director of finance, comes to the podium, I will just share with you that I've asked her to revisit the financial plan. We're not going to go over the entire thing, but I think it's important to talk about the anticipated increased revenue and what our plans are as far as how we're planning to spend that increased revenue. And this will be an excellent opportunity, or if there are any questions, considering that you saw the complete report last month regarding the proposal. Ms. Forsman.
Good evening. Our proposed financial plan for fiscal 16-17 includes a total budget of $157.5 million. The breakdown here shows the operating fund would increase by 4.06% and the food services fund by 9.29%. So the overall increase in the budget from this year to next would be 4.01%. This begins on page 21 in your book, if that helps. So the increased revenue breakdown is as follows. You can see basic aid is the largest increase. I do want to preface this by saying this is based on the governor's proposal from December. We don't yet have the information from the General Assembly, so this is from the governor's proposal. So the basic aid increase is the largest one, as you can see there, 1.2 million, almost 1.3 million. Sales tax estimate increased almost $1 million there. The governor agreed to add some money for at-risk students. He increased remedial summer school. He increased fringe benefits because of a rate increase, regional CSET program increase, additional instructional positions. They added 12 in there for this year. That's based on one per elementary school. It does not have to be used at elementary, but it is based on one per elementary school, which is why it's 12. In addition, there were some small increases and decreases in other programs based on numbers of students that's participated. So the total increase in state revenue is $4.3 million. In addition, the proposed budget had $1 million additional request from the city, so the total increase to revenue is $5.3 million. The asterisk there by those increases on some of those shows that the expenses will have to increase as well. They gave us some money, but the expense also has to increase. So on the expense side, as you can see here, we have the governor's proposed teachers, 12, which is a $660,000 increase in expense. Additional software increases, textbook allocation increase up to 100%, which is what we need to be spending in order to receive that money. some purchase service increase, remedial summer school, part-time employees will receive, most part-time employees will receive 1.5% increase. The cost for Phase 2, Part 2, and Phase 4 to complete the pay and classification study from Evergreen is $262,148. To maintain our teacher scale as accepted last year by the city is $1.3 million, and a step raise for support staff is $657,100. In addition, we've added some positions and made some changes. So the testing coordinators would go from 10 months to 11 months. There are 3 full-time graduation coaches, 4 literacy teachers at the middle school, an English specialist, alternative ed teachers, special ed teachers, those 3 of those, compliance specialists, 2 of those, and increase the allocations to the schools by 20%.
Ms. Forsman, before you go on, or if you could go back to that slide, I want to stress that when you look at that slide and you see the increase as far as personnel is concerned, each of those positions are directly working with students in schools. Perhaps the one that's most indirect working with students is the English specialist. They work with teachers who in turn work with students. But all of the other positions, the testing coordinator, full-time graduation coach, literacy teachers, the alternative ed, special ed teachers, compliance specialists, are working directly with teachers. So I think that's important to say. We're staying true to what your mission is and what your focus is as far as positions that are working directly with students, but also salaries, as you've seen before, as far as maintaining the teacher salary scale.
In addition, there's some additional professional training for those literacy teachers and for literacy in general, some purchase services in instruction. There's an increase in dues and subscriptions in instruction, materials and supplies in instruction, and additional testing materials. So the total proposed budget increase for expenses is, again, $5.3 million, and there are 25 new positions in the budget.
I have a question. Do we have any place in the budget for aids? I didn't see it on this here. Is there any place in the budget for aids to schools in need?
No. We did not include additional teacher assistants in this year's budget.
We did not.
No.
What about if a school needs one? Can they request it through their increased allotment?
Oftentimes, if they're in need of a teacher assistant, they may use some remediation funding to hire a tutor who can take the place of an assistant. It's not the same as a full-time assistant, nor is it the same as the part-time ones that we've hired. You may recall during the 3-year plan that I shared with you, year 2, I believe, we've increased the increased teacher assistants, but for this particular proposal, there aren't additional teacher assistants included.
Okay.
May I ask a question? Dr. Whitney, how do compliance specialists for special ed, you said they work directly with the students. I thought that these were people who are hired to make sure that everyone is in compliance with the...
You are exactly right. I overlook compliance specialists, and perhaps the English specialists would work indirectly with students. But for the most part, compliance specialists, you're right, are working to make sure IEPs are correct, records are complete, and so forth. Yes. Okay. Thank you for pointing that out.
Do we have any additional training for IB teachers that are not certified yet, or are we providing IB training?
We do have additional professional development funds that we'll be using for not just IB teachers, but all teachers, yes.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if you look at unfinished business, we have ordinances 15/16-5, service animals in public schools. Second reading, we need action on this.
I move that we accept ordinance number 15/16-5. You have.
Well, I have a question.
Okay.
This is about, is that the one about service animals, right?
It is.
Yeah.
How can you housebreak a miniature pony? Well, it says there whether the miniature horse is housebroken. I've never heard of housebreaking a horse. Well, I was curious, that's all. I think it would be hard to have a policy that included a housebroken horse.
We're only allowing housebroken horses in the school, so we'll have to make sure the owner knows that. We'll have to certify that.
Okay.
It's a good question. I don't know it either. I've never had a housebroken
I've had
horse.
horses. I've never been able to housebreak any.
We need a second.
Second.
Board Member Bouchard.
Yes?
Board Member Brooks Buck.
Yes.
Board Member Byram.
Yes.
Board Member Mitnick.
Yes.
Board Member Skeeter.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Copeland.
Aye.
Chairman DeBransky.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Ordinance number 15/16-6, tobacco-free schools for staff and students. Second reading and action.
I move that we accept this policy as written. It's ordinance 15-16-6.
Second?
Board Member Bouchard.
Yes?
Board Member Brooks Buck.
Yes.
Board Member Byram.
Yes.
Board Member Mitnick.
Yes.
Board Member Skeeter.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Copeland.
Aye.
Chairman DeBransky.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Let's go to new business, a special school board meeting to approve the budget. We need to have a meeting, let's see, next week, is it?
March 21st through the
22nd or
23rd.
Look at your calendars now and see what your days are. If you have any conflicts for March 21st, 2nd, or 3rd, preferably in the morning about 9 or 10, be about 15 or 20 minutes.
Is it going to be not all three of those days, one of those three?
One of those
One of those days.
yeah.
Okay, I can do the 21st.
Anybody else? Everybody okay for the 21st?
is
Monday.
good for
That's a
me.
Monday.
That's a Monday, right?
Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody not available?
No, Monday morning would be fine.
Monday's good.
Okay, let's do it Monday morning at 10, then. Is that okay with everybody?
Okay. And where, or you don't know where yet?
We can have it at the school board office if you'd like, in the conference room.
Okay.
Okay?
And you said what time did you say?
10 o'clock.
Okay.
10 o'clock, see everybody.
That's March what?
21st.
Need a motion and a second.
I so move.
Second.
Board Member Bouchard.
Yes?
Board Member Brooks Buck.
Yes.
Board Member Byram.
Yes.
Board Member Mitnick.
Yes.
Board Member Skeeter.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Copeland.
Aye.
Chairman DeBransky.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. New business. Changes in the school calendar, parent-teacher conference. This is an action item as well.
Yes, I'm going to call to the podium Mrs. Jacqueline Chavis, our Deputy Superintendent. We have yet another change, but it is, again, you'll see that it's being somewhat responsive to concerns that we've heard through our last parent-teacher conference time. Ms. Chavis.
Good evening. On page 31 are the changes that we're requesting that you grant approval for. For the 2016-17 calendar, November 28th currently stands as a date similar to what we had this school year, with conferences being held before and after school for a 3-day period. That was a recommendation from the calendar committee for this particular 2016-17 calendar. However, the superintendent said, based on feedback from teachers from the superintendent's advisory as well as members of the calendar committee, they'd like to make a change to that due to participation not being convenient for parents and longer hours for teachers on those 3 days to hold those conferences, to make November 28th a full day for parent-teacher, back to what we had this year was before and after school conferences in February. The teachers' feedback was that because possible retention letters go out and that the conferences in February were really attended more greatly by parents, to make February a full conference day in lieu of November. They also believe that holding the half days or before and after school conferences in November is a better option because we've had open houses in October, orientations in October, and they believe they get a better picture and better conferences with teachers in February, full day in lieu of before and after school. So what you have before you is to make that change to February being a full day in lieu of November, and make November before and after school conferences.
Questions? Okay. We have a
I move that we accept the calendar changes that have been presented to us by the superintendent.
Second.
Board Member Bouchard.
Yes?
Board Member Brooks-Buck.
Yes.
Board Member Byram.
Yes.
Board Member Mednick.
Yes.
Board Member Skeeter.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Copeland.
Aye.
Chairman Dobransky.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, if the board members would look at the remaining items, and if there are any questions, please ask them. At this time or a later date, we can refer to them in the future meeting. Any questions on the rest of the items? If not, can we accept the consent agenda?
These are information items only?
Yes.
These are first readings of changes to school board policies. They'll come up again next month with any changes that are submitted.
Any other questions or comments? If not, can we get a recommendation to approve the consent agenda?
We've already done that, Dr. Dobransky.
We have, okay, let's go ahead on then. We have public speakers. Dr. Chuck Saunders is here to speak with us. If you would, please come up to the podium. If you have a handout, we'll be glad to share it with you. Miss.
I do have some handouts.
Dr. Saunders, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Chuck Sanders. I'm a organizational development consultant, and I'm also an adjunct professor at a couple of universities, and I teach business and management. One of the things that I've been doing for about 15 years is I do budget analysis for the Department of Defense. And during last year's budget cycle, one of the council members asked me to help with some of the analysis of the Suffolk City School budget as well as the overall city budget. And so I showed how we compared against other cities in Hampton Roads as well as across the state, which I'm told contributed to the ability of getting the pay raise for the teachers. One of the things that I noticed in the dialogue with the city council was that there seems to be this sense of we don't want to spend but only so much on schools. And so because of my particular interest in education, I did some research, and what you have there in the handout is basically some analysis. I looked at studies in looking at things like how does education compare with crime rate. And so some of the things that you notice is that there's a number of studies that show that people who do not end up with a high school diploma or a GED are much more likely to get involved in crime. Unemployment rates in 2009 among university students stood at 4%, but those who did not complete high school were more like 11%. That 11% will stand out later on. You look at over 50% of the 15 to 19-year-olds who are not in school or unemployed, so even those that drop out don't have much opportunity. And one of the things that really struck at me in terms of the cost to the city is when you look at the national average for how much we spend on a student per year is a little over $12,000. But the average annual cost per prison inmate is more than twice that, $28,000. So if you look at the numbers and say, well, if we just got that many more kids to finish high school, and then that's that many less kids that are likely to get involved in crime, which means we're now having more than 50% payback on our investment. So the other thing, of course, is that skilled or educated people are much more opportunity and hope is the one thing that gives kids the incentive and the motivation to finish school and to develop a skill, because if they don't have hope, then they're going to give up, and that's why we see kids not finishing high school. The other thing, of course, is that if you look at some of the income differences, average annual income in the city of Suffolk is $29,000. But if you look at the average skilled income, it's $51,000. So if you get these kids graduating from high school or college with a skill or an actual employable ability, then they're much more likely to make more money, which means you now have more taxable income, and they're more likely to buy a house, which means you actually have real estate revenue. And so the city actually pays for itself by investing more in education. And so that's what I hope to show in this handout. The other thing which is interesting is when you look at the national average of investment in students per year of 12,643, the city of Suffolk spends about 10,000. So we're about 2,000 below the national average. And when you look at the other cities in the Hampton Roads area, we're also at the lower end of the investments. So just hope that's helpful in terms of making the argument of whether or not we're putting enough money in education.
Any questions? Dr. Saunders. Yeah.
I'd like to
Go ahead.
Did you compare, well, you said Suffolk spends $10,512. How did that compare with other Hampton Roads area?
Just said we were at the bottom.
Either some of the counties to the west.
Well, when you look at, let's see.
The national average is 12,643.
Yeah, national 12. 12.6.
I actually had that written down here somewhere.
10.5, be 2,000 below the national average.
I'll bet it's sitting on my printer at home. I apologize. I can actually email that to Dr. Whitney, but I actually had done analysis. Like Virginia Beach and Chesapeake spend closer to the 12,000 range. If you look at their city budget, the city of Suffolk, our percentage of the overall city budget is 32%. Chesapeake is 48%, and Virginia Beach is 45%. Hampton's 43%. Newport News 41%. So we have a much smaller percentage of the overall city budget compared to the other cities. And the percentages in terms of investment per student ends up in that same similar ratio.
I figured that.
I was just wondering, and you probably don't have numbers for this, but it seems to me that if the money, that a good place for us to put the money for kids graduating is in acquiring skills before they graduate from high school so that they are ready for the workforce. Because I'm thinking about, I don't know what other school systems do, but aside from our Prudent Tech Center, which we're looking into modernizing and revamping, it seems to me that the money that we should be spending is in getting these students ready, getting them skilled before they graduate from high school. You know, there's this thing that they either graduate from high school and they learn things like history and math, but the ones that go to college, I mean, there's no in between.
Well, the unfortunate dialogue when you look at the state's education policy is there's a lot of emphasis on STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, and on getting into college. The reality is we have a large percentage of our student body that either doesn't have the resources to go to college or doesn't have the academic ability, and so their best option is to develop a skill that makes them employable to make a good living when they graduate. And so we don't want to tell kids that they shouldn't go to college, but at the same time, those that know that they're not going to go or don't have the ability to go, we need to offer them the opportunity to develop employable skills so they can, they can actually be,
And you're
sustain on their own.
saying something, you're saying, a lot of people say this, that people aren't maybe intelligent enough to go to college. Well, in Europe, for example, Switzerland, I have a friend who's from Switzerland, people who are very, very intelligent choose to become apprentices and become skilled. They're just as intelligent as someone who's going to become an engineer, and they actually end up making just as much money.
Well, as a matter of fact, it's not about intelligence. A lot of it has to do with what they're motivated to do and what's their passion.
Right.
Right now, there's a lot of potential in our industry just in terms of things like IT and cyber. We have at North Suffolk, we have the Navy Cyber Command that does a lot of work, and there are schools in the area that are offering, training for cyber technologists and cyber experts that don't need to have a college degree. They just need to be good at doing different cyber operations. And so that's something that we could get involved with in terms of offering those opportunities for our students so that they don't necessarily, have to go to a four-year college. They can go either through a two-year program or, in some cases, a one-year program to get good skills that makes them employable.
Well, that's the secret, I think, that's lacking. That's where we need to go because this is an entirely different world.
I would also make the argument that one of the places where we're at highest risk in terms of kids ending up in crime is in the inner city. I grew up in Washington, D.C., in a city and I went through public schools. I can read and write nonetheless, but, it's not that environment is not a good environment to grow up in. If you don't have two loving parents that are there helping you and being there for you and giving you the extra help, you're kind of on your own, and so those kids really need special attention in terms of making sure that we provide the best opportunity to get them educated, and it needs to be well before they get to the age where they end up in the gangs, because by the time they get to that age where they end up in the gangs, it's too late. We've already lost them.
Yeah, they already have another family.
Yeah, and it's not the right kind.
Right.
So what I'm hearing, we have a great challenge here in Suffolk. In fact, it's something that we can pretty well solve, I think, with our Prudence Center, and that we can help quite a few students and sort of direct them into that program, into that school. And so I'm asking the superintendent that in years to come, we can really do some great things, because what I'm hearing about the inner city, even though we are small inner city, you still have somewhat the same problem.
Yeah. And there's actually, I was encouraged to find out that there's some teachers that are actually going out on their own and getting some community involvement. I was pleased to see that Dr. Whitney's plan includes, facilitating that. There's Ms. Betty Whitney, or Twitty, who's the graduation coach at Lakeland, has actually, gotten one of the pastors who used to be an engineer to open up his church on Saturday mornings to offer tutoring for, high school kids that are just trying to get past the SOLs so they can graduate. I think those kinds of things, we ought to, there actually ought to be a budget that provides for whatever services those kind of efforts need in order to facilitate it, even if it's going out and getting, engaging all the churches and trying to enroll them in providing those kinds of community involvement, help these kids, because the inner city kids are the ones that we really need to focus on, because they're the ones that, may not be able to go to college, but if we can, get them through high school and have a skill where they can get a good job instead of working at Mickey D's or something, then, I don't want to put down Mickey D's because I used to work there, but it's something that, is not the future. We need to give these kids a future.
Go ahead.
Could I just say one other thing?
Sure.
I said this before, but I think that, and this is a place where we do need more budget money, I think it would be a good idea if we could turn our Prudent Tech Center into a regular high school so that kids don't have to be transported there. They're already there. They can take English, history, math, everything else, and at the same time become skilled workers.
Well, if you look at some of the biggest cities, that is what they've done. Northern Virginia has schools that are science technology schools, and they have, even when I was growing up in D.C., we had one of our high schools was actually the tech school. They taught everything from welding to auto mechanics to electricians, plumbing. I mean, it wasn't just, engineering type folks. It was actually learning good technical skills. So I would agree that that's probably a good move, because it.
See, what we do is we transport kids. We don't allow them to go there till they're juniors, and then we transport them there just for the technology aspect. Whereas if it were a complete high school, then people could still transfer in and out just as they would anywhere else, but they would also get their SOL subjects and everything there. Anyway, that's...
Dr. Saunders, when you introduce yourself, you said a councilman or our city council asked you to educate us on this. Or was it a council?
No, that was last year's budget cycle. One of the council members asked me to help him do some analysis of the city budget.
Okay, all right, okay.
And then I actually approached him about, whether or not I could help the school board in terms of, building a stronger case for arguing for more money, because it's clear that we need it.
Okay, good information, but I didn't know if it was coming by way of council or just how we were getting to this. Okay, thank you.
I see that, I believe Councilman Johnson's in our presence, so I know he's listening to this. Have you emailed this information to the city council as well?
I've emailed it to Mr. Goldberg.
Okay. I would suggest emailing it to all of the city council.
Okay. I'll get their emails.
Dr. Saunders, in your research, did you have a list of other businesses that we are not considering right now? I would like plumbing and electricity and some of the other high-tech stuff, but in your research, did you see other things that are needed that we need to bring into the 21st century here?
I can put together a list. I don't have one off the top of my head, but yeah, there's a lot of other businesses, some that are moving into the area that, are going to require, even if there's a new warehouse that's going up. I can't remember if it's already built, but a lot of those jobs, they have a lot of automation, and so those are not, manual labor kind of jobs. Those are tech jobs running, equipment that...
High-tech machinery.
Yeah, that handles the
that's what we
merchandise.
want to do. We want to prepare our students for that next 21st and 22nd century job market.
Agreed.
Before they get out of high school.
We did also, I think, when we met with the city, we discussed some of these similar issues, and they did seem to take an interest, I thought, in the fact that we were maybe moving to change the Prudence Center, and that we were looking at some of these very things that you were talking about, preparing our students to go out into the world prepared in a job skill. Yes.
May I make a comment? I think that this information is great, and it's what we've been saying, and so thank you for putting it together. But I do want people to know that there are many programs in Suffolk Public Schools, career and technical education programs that exist in all the schools, in high schools. We have many programs that exist. We also have some programs that we just need to do a better job of, hopefully with the media, making people aware of with regard to helping students. We have online programs. We have several things that parents may not be aware of that they can gain access to. But we do emphasize, we are looking at revamping our Prudence Center. That's been our career and technical center, but we have those things dispersed throughout the school division. Mm-hmm. So we don't want anyone to think that that's the only place that you can go to get those kinds of resources and have that type of exposure.
Right.
Anybody else? Thank you, Dr. Saunders.
All right,
Appreciate
thank you.
your help. Before we go on, I'd like to ask Councilman Johnson if you'd like to come forward and say a few words. If not, be okay, but you can. Welcome. You're among friends.
I'm prepared to say anything.
You're among friends.
I just came on my own as a citizen because I wanted to hear what was going forward with the budget, from if there were any issues in the community, and obviously there aren't. So I'm excited about the budget. I'm excited about the schools. You all know that. And I think this council, we have a real opportunity between council and the school board to do great things. I hope and pray PD Pruden becomes something fantastic. We have such an opportunity with it. Mm-hmm. And I'm only here on my own accord to listen, because how can you know how to make decisions if you don't listen?
We thank you for coming.
So, but you're doing good things. We're great.
Thank you.
We're great. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to comment that the council has helped us tremendously in this last year, and with this deficit is no reflection on this council. This council is trying to put us in a position to be better, and we're going to expect that to continue, because we're going to do better as we get the money to show our needs are met. Okay, let's see, business by, well, we have any other public speakers out there? No more public speakers? Okay, go to business by board members. We'll start with Mrs. Skeeter.
Thank you. On last month, I want to say thank you to the Suffolk Public School Administration for the lovely gift we received as School Board Appreciation Month. And also, the art department. That's a great basket. That's a fun basket of art from every school in Suffolk. And I want to thank you for those gifts that you gave to us on that particular day. And then, of course, recognizing the Suffolk chapter of the Lynx. I think they presented a program during last month that we've never had in Suffolk before that I can recall, when they had the Colgate dental van into Suffolk, and they volunteered at Booker T to do some exploratory things with the students in dental. And I think we should recognize them at some point in time. Dr. Spruill, who is a dentist, she was one of the main persons presenting this and bringing this to our area. So I think we should recognize them and tell them how thankful we are, and maybe it will spill over into some of our other schools in there. And of course, we thank those volunteers that worked that day. And of course, Read Across America, great day. Dr. Seuss, it comes back every time. When you read it, you go back to childhood. And it is just great. Some of the students, a couple of them that came in today, I remember reading to them in 3rd grade and following them along in Dr. Seuss's books. And of course, my book, the main book I like is I Can Read With My Eyes Shut, because I go to sleep at night when I'm reading. So I must be reading with my eyes shut in there. So, and of course, some of the other folk, you got to leave something for them. The talents of students, and also that's my report.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to thank the Suffolk Education Foundation for sponsoring the gala, which was a celebration of the arts in our school system. It was very successful this year, and close to $10,000 will be given back to the schools, the art programs, and the music programs because of the gala, and the Education Foundation did an excellent job. I'd like to congratulate the Nasmere River High School girls indoor track team. They are the state 5A champions for indoor track, and very proud of their work. And I'd like to ask Dr. Whitney if you could do one thing for me in preparation for next month's board meeting. Could we take a look at where the class of 2017 is at accumulating their volunteer hours for graduation, and have a report?
Certainly.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it.
2017 or 16?
The first class that needs the graduation.
Oh, that needs the requirement.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'd just
we
like to have an update where they're at.
Dr. Buck.
I'd just like to ditto the thanks for the beautiful gift basket we got, and congratulate those students, as I did, who are honor students. This is my favorite time of the year. I'd also like to add, I was really excited about a message that all of us got, I guess, from the Virginia School Boards Association, that the General Assembly is looking at and favorably accepted an option for insurance, allowing some of the employees, our teachers and so on, to be a part of insurance pool and insurance plan for us. So I'm excited about those possibilities. That's it.
A couple of things. I think we had a busy month. Booker T had Colonial Days, and I want to commend the staff and teachers and students there. The fifth graders have that a couple of times. They've already done this. But this year it was a little special, more special to me, I think, because I made butter, and I made candles, and I made potpourri, and I solved math problems from colonial times. And I was really happy to see that Dr. Wrights and the staff incorporated the Daughters of the American Revolution, DAR, chapters from Suffolk and Portsmouth. They came out and shared a tremendous knowledge of the history of the flag and did things with the students' workshop on genealogy, which I thought was wonderful. I want to commend those people for coming from the community and doing those workshops. A couple of other things. We had Star Awards and Superintendent Star Awards, and that was a wonderful evening where we got to recognize a lot of our employees and the part that they do every day to make our school system so very good and excellent. And I commend all of those that were nominated and all of those who received awards. That was very beneficial. The Mardi Gras was excellent. I'm glad to hear that they had that we had a good turnout and that Suffolk Education Foundation did make a lot of money. Hope it will continue. It's a wonderful, worthwhile event. And those students who performed, many of us said that evening, I know Ms. Skeeter and myself said something to the superintendent about we need to take some of these students with us when we travel to VSBA and other events to show the stars that we do have here in our school system. And, their arts and their talents sometimes don't go recognized as much as they should. And we have some talented students here, and we need to be proud of all of them. I'll stop at that. I could go on.
Okay, Ms. Bouchard.
Well, I promise not to go on. I just want to thank the students and the staff at Nansemond Parkway Elementary, Hill Point Elementary, and Oakland Elementary for inviting my dog Scout and me to come and read to the kids on March the 2nd. Scout had a wonderful time and made lots of friends. And so if there's any other school that would accept a beautiful therapy dog in to make the kids happier, I would really appreciate the invitation. And so would Scout. Thank you.
Mr. Copeland.
I apologize to Nansemond Parkway for missing my engagement, but I called them and informed them that I was willing to come and do my part. So they accepted it. So Tuesday morning, I presented myself to the early students, the 4-year-olds. And it was quite an enjoyment seeing those 4-year-olds. They are full of life. And I commended the teachers. I said, you all should be getting double pay with these kids because they were really interested. So I enjoyed reading to them, but as I told the school that I had a lot on my plate the month, but I still was going to come. So I went over there Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock and read to them, and I had an enjoyable time. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Dr. Whitney if we could entertain a citywide course and a citywide orchestra, if we could get all that talent in one spot so that we could show it off. There were some outstanding voices in music.
We actually do have a citywide orchestra showcase on March 17th, and March 19th, citywide band showcase, and on March 19th, we also have the Youth Art Month Festival as well, Stars Talented Elementary Music Concert. Now, in this particular, doing this, in fact, if I may call Ms. Pam Connor to give us a little bit more detail about that as far as how it's organized and who the participants are. Ms. Connor, if you don't mind.
Good evening. It's always exciting to recognize our arts program. On each of those evenings, our middle schools and high schools will be showcasing their students, so we hope that you can attend this event. On Saturday here at Kings Fork High School, we have a wonderful Make It, Take It day for parents and students that actually come. All of our art teachers set up and showcase their art program. We have seniors and students in high school that actually paint and do some art activities with parents and kids. So it's a walk away, take away, and then later that day we can go across the street and listen to the band as they perform with their showcasing of the band that afternoon.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Dr. Nebraska, I forgot something.
Go ahead.
You and I have been volunteers with the Boys and Girls Club.
Yes.
And I've noticed they've named a new coordinator.
Yes.
He's a young man, Tyron Riddick.
Yes.
Great young man. But I'm sure he would welcome us to come in and volunteer because they have a good mentoring program helping with homework with those students that are there in the afternoon. So I'm making that plea for him that you would visit John F. Kennedy Middle School in the afternoon when the Boys and Girls Club is operating and to help him out with that activity.
It's actually any time from 3 to 6 or 7 or 8 if you want to come and you want to add what services you can help them with. So 1 day, 2 days, all week, it doesn't matter. They'll take one or all. Okay, I have a few things. One, I visited Green Run Collegiate School 2 weeks ago. Green Run Collegiate is the only charter school in Eastern Virginia, including Tidewater and Eastern Shore. Now, this school was chartered by the state, approved by the city, Virginia Beach City School Board, and is actually run in Green Run High School. It's not Green Run High School's school. It's a part of the charter system governed by a unique body of individuals, not by the school board, but by a body that's chosen from the city who has volunteered to be a part of it. They have their own rules and regulations, not unlike the city schools. Of course, they'll have to follow the rules and regulations for discipline and things like that, but they have their own rules for some attendance and other things that go on. This is one thing I'd like to see us follow because it's a unique situation in that it's administered at the school site. It's not administered centrally, it's administered locally. And the buy-in is that the people that run it have their heart and soul in it, and the kids that come there want to come there. They're recruited, they want to come, and it's a unique thing. It's unique in two ways. One, the students are they're not selected, they're recruited, and 50% of them are white and 50% of them are minority. The neat thing about it is that all the minority students in this school outscored the rest of the schools in Virginia Beach on their SOL and required school tests. Another thing about this school makes it unique, they offer an IB program from 6th grade on. The IB program has 3 degrees. It's just not the diploma degree. It's a certification for business that we've been talking about, so it fits into what we want to do. It's also a diploma program, and it's also a, a work-study type diploma. So there's 3 diplomas that they offer, and it's a unique school because there's only 150 kids in each class, a total of 400 or 500 kids in the school. And each individual there who is a teacher or administrator has a responsibility to stay in touch with 10 students, and they make sure that they get their work done. I like us to look into that if we could.
Okay.
That's all I have. All right, informational item. Board members, if you'll look at the informational items, and if there are any questions, please feel free to ask them at this time. Hearing none, we'll go on. Action and closed meeting. We have a personnel report. Mr. Copeland.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the personnel report.
Second.
Board Member Bouchard? Yes. Board Member Brooks-Buck?
Yes.
Board Member Byram?
Yes.
Board Member Mednick?
Yes.
Board Member Skeeter?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Copeland?
Aye.
Chairman Dobransky?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the pupil personnel report.
Board Member Bouchard?
Yes.
Board Member Brooks-Buck?
Yes.
Board Member Byram?
Yes.
Board Member Mitnick?
Yes.
Board Member Skeeter?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Copeland?
Aye.
Chairman Dobransky?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Hearing no other questions or answers, I deem this meeting adjourned for tonight. Everybody have a safe night, safe trip home.